Okay, awesome. So let's pick up where we left off in the last video. So what we're going to be doing today is we are going to actually be um, making our bookmarks application um, done, getting it done correctly, right? Previously, what we did is we just got the functionality working. If we take a look, if we go to our screen really quickly, take a look at what's on my screen, you'll see that what we did previously was we just set up Create React App, we built the application, we got all of our files made, imported, all of our packages that we need, like Morgan, Mongoose, bcrypt, JSON Web Token, built the server, the database, got all that stuff running. We got each pieces of this functionality working where we can delete bookmarks, update bookmarks, post bookmarks, log people in, all that good stuff, sign people up, and also show bookmarks by user. And we also use JSON Web Tokens as our authentication method. And I kind of showed you that inside of Postman, how exactly that works. But now we're actually going to see it in real life. So when we look at it here in more real life, essentially what's happening is if we take a look, you'll see that what we're doing is when a user logs in to our login form that's going to be on our page, what's going to happen is we're going to send the username and password to the server. And the same thing when they sign up, we'll send username, password, and name. But essentially, we're going to create a JWT with the secret as long as the username and password was either correct or if we're creating a user, once that user's created. Then once that happens, then we're going to take that JWT we get back and we're going to save it in local storage, right? Once we go ahead and save that in local storage, then we're going to go ahead and like I said, once that's done, every time we make a request from there, we're going to keep sending the JWT with the authorization header, like you saw us doing in Postman, right? And then the backend is going to verify that JWT signature is accurate, and then send the response back to the client with whatever data the person was asking for, if it was valid, or telling you that they're unauthorized if they weren't sending back valid data. So that's what we have currently going on, right? What we're going to do is now that we have that working, and we kind of understand that's what we're going to build, we're just going to create the right component structure, etc. If we look at our code now, let's go over to our code. Our code just basically now has all of that login, sign up, create bookmark functionality just sitting directly inside the app.js. And that's not the way we want to have it. We want to use component driven development. We want to separate this correctly. So we're going to do that same way we did inside of ToDoList. And then we're also going to look at uh, some practices that's going to be a little bit better for us to make sure our application runs smoothly. So to get started, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the source, the SRC folder, and I am going to make a brand new folder called components. So that's going to be the first thing that I do. Boom, components created. And then I'm going to make the components that I'm going to end up needing. So I'm going to make a new folder in here. I'm going to make one called auth, right? I'm going to make another new folder. I'm going to call it login. I'll make another new folder, and I'm going to call it sign up. And for right now, that's all I'm going to do. There's more components I'm going to make, but just so that I don't make too many files at the beginning, I'm just going to make those three, and we'll get started with that. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take this part of our application, right, where I have the login and sign up here at the top, and I'm going to put that all inside of the auth component, but there's going to be a separate login and a separate sign up component that they're going to have some shared state. So that's what I'm going to do. So if we scroll down, and I'm going to go ahead and collapse in some of these functions this way that they don't take up too much space, right? And I'm going to scroll down, and you're going to notice that I have this login, I have this sign up, right? Each one of these I'm going to put into their own component. I'm also going to take those two components and I'm going to put them inside this auth component. So the auth component is what's going to end up here in my application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to auth. I'm going to create a new file called auth.js, right? And I'm going to make a login.js. And then I'm going to make a signup.js. And before I add any functionality to any of it, here's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to go to signup.js, which I'm already in. And I'm going to do an export default function signup.js, or sign up, I should say. It's going to take in some props. And then I'm going to return and we'll go ahead and try to format that decently, get these indents in a decent position. And we'll go ahead and say that this is H1. And we'll just say sign up. And I'll do the same thing essentially inside of login.js. And then auth.js, I'm essentially do the same thing also, except in auth.js, instead of me just having that H1 there, I'm going to import in my login and my sign up. So I'm going to import login, and I'm going to import sign up. And in here, I'm going to have login and sign up. Right? And then I'm going to go to app.js and then add the auth.js there. So I'm going to import auth here. And right here for right now, I'm just going to put auth right up here at the top. Eventually, it'll take the place of those other ones. But right now, I'll just leave them both on the screen. And if I come over here to my browser, you should see that I see login, sign up, login, sign up. This login and this sign up here is eventually going to take the place of that login and sign up there down there at the bottom. Now, what I want to happen is I want the user to be able to choose in between whether they want to log in or sign up, like you'll see at a lot of websites when you go to it, right? If I go to like a website, let's say like github.com, right? I'm already signed in. I'm going to sign myself out, right? It says, okay, you can sign in or you can sign up, right? Like that sort of thing, right? So what I want to do is I want the user to be able to choose in between those two, right? To have that type of functionality. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm essentially going to come back over to my code and I'm going to make it a toggle. So in auth.js, right, I'm also going to import here at the top. I'm going to import useState from React. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a state variable, my first one in here, called, I'm going to call it sign up. I'm going to call it show sign up actually. show sign up and set show sign up. And that's going to be a useState variable, and I'll start it off as true. And essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a button I will eventually style. That's odd. Why? Huh. Some reason that was not lining up correctly. No big deal though. I fixed it. And then we'll say we'll have a button. Some of my settings must be off, but no big deal. And we'll say on click. And then what we're going to do is whenever a user clicks this button, we want it to toggle in between showing either the sign up or the or the sign up or the login. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that this is going to call set show sign up, right? And it's just going to show the opposite of show sign up, right? So that's what I'll do there. And then on top of that, inside the text, I'm going to say if show sign up is true, so it's currently showing the sign up form, I'm going to say um, create, or let's say sign up with a new account below, or click here to log in as an existing user. Right? And then the else will just be the opposite of that. Log in as an, or we'll say welcome back. Log in as an, and let me go ahead and word wrap this so it can be seen better. So log in as an existing user, or log in as an existing user, or click here to sign up with a new account. Right? So that's what the button text will say in both of those instances. And then what we'll do is we'll wrap login and sign up in a ternary, and we'll say show sign up we'll use the sign up form, else we'll use the login form. Right? And that's what we'll do there for them. And we'll remove this from down here. Right? And that's how we'll make that happen. And then we'll also going to say const, let's say user, and set user, and we'll start that equal to use state, and we're going to start that off as null. And what we're going to do here is, remember, we get that token back. So we haven't written the code to mess with it yet, but we're about to. But what we want to have happen is, if there's actually a user present, right, then we don't want to ask the user to sign in. We just want to give them a welcome message. But if they haven't, if there is no user present, then we'll show all this. So then that's when we'll do this code here, right? Where essentially what we're going to check for is, do we have a user? And does that user have an ID, right? Or name, I should say. Let's do name. If that's the case, then we'll say nh1 that just says welcome, and we'll say user.name. And we'll say to uppercase. Right? And then else, well, then we'll do this. And there we go. So if we have a user and we have a username for that, and we have a name for that user, we'll give them the welcome message. Otherwise, we'll show the form. Now, the reason why we're checking for the user and the user's name is, one, of course, because I need to use the username, but secondly, because the name is a required property. So if the name wasn't there, that means maybe we got some data thrown into this user object accidentally somehow. Maybe it's an error message or something like that, but it wouldn't actually be a real user, right? Because we could end up getting an error message back from the back end, and that could accidentally be put into this user object. And if it did, our code would might think that's the user, but we know that would be incorrect. So we're just making sure that, hey, do we have a user? And the computer's like, yeah, we got a user, we got some data there. We're like, does that user have a name property? And then that's how we really know it's a real user. So that is all we'll do there. And then what we need to do is we need to go back to app.js. We need to see what data we need to pass down to auth in order for it to be able to give the right data to the login and sign up. And so some data that we know that we're going to need just by looking, and we're just going to start from the top and work our way down. So we're going to go line by line through these two components and make sure we give it all the necessary props from the app.js. So the first one that we notice is we notice login. So we'll say login is going to be equal to login. That's line 1. Line 2, we see credentials. We see handle change off. And we see credentials and handle change off on the second one too. So we need that as well. So we'll say credentials. And then we'll also say handle change off. And then on the next line, there's nothing. But then on this line, we see sign up. So we'll do sign up here. That's the sign up function, not to be confused with the sign up component. I see handle change auth, and credentials, so nothing new there. So that's all we need, is just those four based on what we're looking at here. And so we'll pass all that down. And then it's as simple as in the login form, for example, we'll go ahead and we'll do a quick copy. We'll go to login form and we'll drop in that, right? Um, just formatting that. And then we have login, on submit, boom, boom. And then here we'll go ahead and we'll say the things that we know it needs. We know it needs login. We're destructuring out those things, credentials. And we're going to need handle change off. So that's one down. Then we'll go over to sign up. And let's look. Boom, boom. Let's go to app.js. Let's copy that sign up code. Boom. Go over to sign up. Make the same thing happen. Cool. And then we'll come here. And then what we're going to do here inside of sign up is we'll do the same thing, destructure out those properties. So we'll check and see, okay, credentials, we need that. Sign up, we need that. And handle change off, we'll need that. So we'll save those three. So boom, we have those. And then if we go to app.js, we should be able to remove. Well, before we do that, let's look and see what we have. Right? And reload. Oh, a type error, read an email occurred in sign up. Cannot read properties of undefined sign up JS line 14 email. That probably means I just spelled something wrong. Let's see. Let's go to sign up. Boom, boom. Credentials.email. That's what it's talking about here, but credentials. Oh, I see. I know what it is. We just haven't finished yet. We haven't actually passed those values down. So let's do that so we can get rid of those errors. So let's look at the things that we need. We need login. We know we need sign up. We need credentials. And we're going to need handle change off. And then in here, we'll just pass it. So we're going to need sign up. We're going to need credentials. And we're also going to need handle change off. Actually, this one needs login. We'll go ahead and give it login. We'll go ahead and give it the credentials. And we'll give it handle change off. Boom. And then we'll save that. We'll go back to the browser. And then we should see two sets. So we see sign up, login, sign up. Because that one at the top should actually switch back and forth between the two. Login and sign up. Right? And so now these two are no longer needed. The login sign up from app.js. So we can go ahead and get rid of those. So let's go to app.js. Let's go to login and sign up. And then let's save. And then now we're done there. So now that we have gotten that to work, now let's go back to auth.js and let's further get this user part working the way we want. And we're going to use useEffect in order to deal with that. And essentially what we're going to do is inside of our useEffect, when the page first loads, we are going to check and see whether or not we have a token. And if we have a token, then we're going to set the user, but only if we have a token. So that's what we will. That's what we'll check for. So when we go ahead and essentially what we're going to do is we're going to say that the token is going to be equal to window.localstorage.get item token, right? And if we have a token, then we're good to go. If we don't have a token, then we are not. And so I'm just going to go ahead and say if we don't have a token, right, then we're just going to go ahead and return null from this function. And we're not going to do anything else. But if we do have one, and let's also check if we don't have a token, and let's say or, so we don't have a token or token triple equals the text of null or token triple equals the text of undefined. Either one of those, let's go ahead and return null. Right? And then otherwise, we'll say const payload, right? Which for JWT is going to be the actual data that the JSON Web Token is actually holding, that we've encoded. So if we go back to JSON Web Token, we look at this diagram here, you'll see that JSON Web Token actually has three different parts. We have the secret, signature stuff that lets us verify whether or not it's valid on the back end. But we also just have that encoded data about the user. That's going to be here in the middle. And then at the top, you see we have the algorithm and stuff like that that it's using in the type. So the payload is all the user data and stuff that we want, though. So that's what we actually want to pull out and save as our user. So the way that we're going to do that is if we go back over to our code, right? I'm going to come here. Let's reload the page, right? And if we go ahead and we look at local storage dot token, you can see the token has a bunch of data and stuff like that in it. But if you look close to it, you'll see that there are dots here, right? That separate the token. In the middle, you see there is a bunch of stuff here in the center, and that part here in the middle is actually the encoded data that we want. So that encoded data that we want, that's what we're going to parse out. So when we come back over to our code, what we're going to do is we're going to say const payload is going to be equal to that parsed out data. So we're going to say JSON dot parse, right? So we could take that string, and what we're going to do is we're going to call a function called window dot atob, which actually will allow us to which is actually going to allow us to take a data encoded string and turn it into an object, right? And we're going to call that on the token, but we're only going to call that on, let's say, token.split, only the part that we need. We're going to split it by those dots I just showed you that separate the three parts of the JSON web token. Then I'm going to go ahead and put some brackets in here, put a 1, because remember when you split something into an array, remember the first value is 0, the second is 1, then 2, then the third is 2, so on and so forth. So there's 3 parts. So if I want the one in the middle, I'm gonna use the key value pair of 1, right? And that's gonna give me my payload, right? And then after I get the payload, I'm gonna say if payload, right? So if payload dot exp, right, is less than date dot now, right, divided by 100, divided by 1,000, right, meaning the expiration date, if it's in the past, then we're going to say window, right, dot local storage, dot remove item, because then we have an expired token, so we'll remove the token because the token's expired, right? Else, if that's not the case, well then now we have a token. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a helper function. I'm going to go ahead and say const, we'll call this get token. And make this a helper function. And I'll put all this in here. And then after we've done that, we got const token, window local storage get item token, and we got everything formatted the way we want. And so we have that piece. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then extract the user, and I'm going to say that that const data is going to be equal to um, essentially taking let's say const token. Let's just say const token is equal to get token, right? And then I'll say const user or const data is equal to, let's say that token. If we actually get a token back, right? Then we'll say JSON dot parse. We'll tell it to return the token. There we go. And then we'll say JSON dot parse atob window dot atob token dot split. Remember those dots. Bracket 0 dot user, right? Else null. And then we'll call set user. And we'll use the data. All right. And then we'll save. So if we have a user, then we'll do that. So if we go back to the browser and we reload, let's see, we have failed execute atob, string to be decoded is not correctly encoded. Let's see. Let me make sure I gave it the right string. Const tokens window.localstore.get item token. If not token or token equals null, token equals undefined, return null. So we should return null. If payload.exp, then we should remove it and return null. Otherwise, return the token. And they're saying that now for some reason it couldn't encode the token. Interesting. I've never seen that happen. Let's see what that's about. Let's try to reload. Let's look at it. In auth, let's see, make sure it's coming from the right line. And let's see. Yeah, it's window failed to execute atob. The string to be decoded is not correctly encoded. All right, so that's very odd that would be the case. Let's look at the token real quick. Token looks fine. Let me see something though. I have an idea about why that might be. I might have forgot to parse at one part. Let me see the token. Boom. Yep. JSON.parse. Let's see if that fixes it. Because I look like I see the double set of quotes on there. And let me reload. Unexpected. Auth.js line 25. No, we're definitely having an issue. Maybe there's something wrong with that particular one. Let's just go ahead and say local storage dot clear and reload. And let's see what happens when we create a new user. So let's make a, because that could be a whole nother issue there. We'll go ahead and name this user Apple. And we'll say the password is 12345. Sign up as a new user. Local 3000 API users, bad request. Can't sign up. Let's see why. Oh, we've already used that email already. Let's try another email. hello1@email.com. Sign up as a new user. That was successful. Okay, cool. And try to reload. Can it parse that particular? Let me fix that error that we have here. I gotta take a look at it a little bit closer. Give me 1 second. So let's see. We're doing get token. Windows.storage the local storage get item token. If not token and token.null. Let me see. JSON.parse. Window.atop token.split. Boom. Boom. I don't even think the issue's coming there. Let me see if the issue's coming there. Let's just see if we could do this part. Right? And let's just verify that. Let's verify what part of the code is throwing that part of the error. And let's reload. Right? Because it's a new user, so it should be empty. That's fine. Right? Here's a token in there. And we're not having any errors. So the error is definitely coming when we do the user. So I might have just had a typo there. So let me retype it. So that seems to be fine. Get token seems to be fine. And let me just console.log that. And save. And let's just take a look at it really quickly, just to verify. And that looks fine to me. Alright, but that's not a string. So let's look at it again. Let's take off this JSON.parse. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see it like this. Boom. So that was all good. So then there might actually be a problem with the encoded data, which is fine. We can go ahead and fix that real quick if for some reason that data is corrupted some way. The data we're sending back, but I don't think that's actually an issue. I think I just had a typo I didn't see. So we'll just say that we'll take the user, because essentially all we want to do is we want to go ahead and say const, let's say const data is equal to, right? If we have a token, right? So if we have a token, we'll call JSON dot parse, right? On ATOB. Let's not forget to do the window. On window dot ATOB, and then we'll have the token inside. We will split the token, which should be a string. We'll split it by the dots, and then we'll grab the second item, right? And then after we parse it, then we'll go ahead and we'll get the user, either that or null. And then we'll take that, set user, and then we'll go ahead and drop our data in there. And then we'll save it. Let's verify that's working. It's the same thing I had before, but I might have had like a typo when I did it last time. And looks like we don't see a problem. Yep, and I see welcome Apple here. So yes, I had a typo. Didn't catch what it was, but obviously I spelled something wrong somewhere along those lines. Maybe I had a space before the dot, or maybe I spelled user wrong, perhaps, or maybe I had user in the wrong spot. But either way, um, the logic was correct. We just had a typo, and there we go. It's working. So after we have done this piece, then it's on to the next piece, and then we're almost done, which is now that we have our authentication working, now what we're going to then do is get set up with our create bookmark, etc. So let's go ahead and make that happen. So I'm going to come back over to my code, and then we're going to make create bookmark. So the way create bookmark is going to work is if we go back to app.js, there's this create bookmark form, right? And we're going to make this create bookmark form be its own component. So we're going to go ahead and make a new folder called create bookmark. And for those of you that haven't seen me do this before, you may be wondering why I'm making these folders and only putting one file in it. There will come a second file, but the second file is going to be for our CSS module, right? And when we get to the third video and we style this, then that's when we'll create that. Right now, let's go ahead and wrap this up. So we'll say create bookmark.js. We will go ahead and in our app.js, you see we just have this little bit of code here. We'll copy it. And then we're going to come over to create bookmark. We're going to say export default create bookmark function create bookmark, function create bookmark. Boom. Will return right. And after we have create bookmark here, there's going to be some props that we're going to need. And those props are, we're going to need the create bookmark function, lowercase. We're going to need the bookmark, right, that we want to create. And we're going to need the handle change function. And then we're going to go ahead and import this into here. And we'll say import create bookmark. And then we'll scroll down here to the bottom where we actually do the create bookmark. And we're going to put create bookmark here. And we're going to give it those props that it needs. And those props are, it needs create bookmark. It's going to need the bookmark itself. and it's going to need handle change. Right? And if we save it now and we look in the browser, we should see the create bookmark twice. Right? Create a bookmark twice. We don't need both of those. We only need one. Let's make sure that they both work. So the one that we just added, really only need to make sure that one works. So we'll go ahead and we'll say, let's say Facebook, https://facebook.com. Let's go ahead and create that bookmark, and there it goes down there at the bottom. That's working. So we can go ahead and get rid of the other one. So we're going to come back over to our code, and we're going to get rid of this one at the bottom. Save that, and voila, now we have that part working. Then we're going to, now that we have create bookmark, now we're going to actually make a bookmark and bookmark list component. We'll start with bookmark, and we're going to go ahead and make a new folder called bookmark. And then inside bookmark, we're going to go ahead and make a new file called bookmark.js. And then inside of there, we'll go ahead and do our normal. We'll say export default. And we will call this bookmark. So function bookmark, boom, boom. We will return some stuff in here. And essentially what we want to do is if we go back to app.js, what we're doing is this is going to be the bookmark, right? So what we want to do is we just want to copy this, put it inside of bookmark.js, right? And then just begin to improve upon it. Right? And so there goes our bookmark. Now, in order for the bookmark to work the way it needs to work, we're going to need some data. So we're going to need a bookmark for it. It's also going to need the update bookmark functions, which we'll take a look at. Make sure that that is good to go. And we'll make the delete bookmark, and we need the delete bookmark function. Because we're going to need to be able to update and delete the bookmark from here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, inside of our application, we're going to make use of that use reflet that we talked about before. So we're going to import. We'll need state also, so we'll go ahead and get use ref. And we'll get use state. And we'll get both of those from, right, React. And then what we're going to do within here is we're essentially going to make it so that we can open a we want to make it so that when the user clicks on the title, right? So the user clicks on that title, they're going to open up a form that lets them be able to change the data in there, right? It lets them be able to change the data inside the form. So that's what we want to do. And then we also want to make it so that we use ref in order to refer to that input that's going to open up. So that's what we'll do there. So to start off with, we will go ahead and say const, and we will call, what are we going to call it? Let's call this show update form, let's just call it show form and set show form, or show input and set show input, right? And then we'll go ahead and say that that's equal to useState. And by default, it's going to be false, right? So that'll be step one. And then we'll say const input ref is equal to useRef null, right? And we're going to get rid of this this key off of the li. We don't need that. And then what we're going to do on the h4, instead of all these being item, 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 we're going to change these all to bookmark. And then what we're going to do is on the h4, we'll say that when it gets clicked, right? So when the h4 gets clicked, it's going to call a function that calls set show input, and it's just going to be equal to the opposite of whatever show input already was. So that's what we'll do there. Then what we're going to do is we need an input field that actually cares about that. So then we'll go ahead and we'll make a input, right? And that input is going to have a ref on it. And that a ref is essentially going to be the input ref. And then we're also going to put a style property on there. That's how we're going to handle the conditional rendering here. And we're just going to set it to display none, right? When it, let's just say display, and we'll have the display hooked up to the show input. So if show input is true, then it'll be display block. Else, it'll be display none. Right? So that's what we'll do there. And that's how we'll keep that clean. So it'll either show or it won't show. We'll give it a type of text. And then we'll have for it to actually work, we'll do a on key down. So we'll be a little bit more fancy than we've been before, right? And the way on key down is going to work is inside the event, there's going to be a key that was actually pressed down, and if that key happened to be equal to the enter key, and our max return will work the same way. You don't have to write the word return. It's enter and return is going to be the same value. So it should work on both machines. But if that key is equal to enter, right? Then what we're going to do is in that instance, then we're going to go ahead and actually do the update feature. So we'll say if e.key is triple equal to enter, then what we're going to do is we are going to use the updated ref.current.value like we talked about before. I'm just going to save that into a variable called title updated ref. Not updated ref. What do we call it? Input ref. Input ref dot current dot value. I'm gonna save. I'm going to use that value as the title, right? And then I'm going to then call the update bookmarks function, right? Which we're going to make sure That one, we're going to pass the bookmarks ID, so bookmark dot underscore ID, and then we're going to pass an object with the title in it to the back end, and that's all we're going to do there. And we're only going to do that if the key that they pressed was enter. And then I'm also going to give it a default value that's going to be equal to the bookmark.title. Because basically when you open it up, it'll automatically have the title already inside the text, right? So if the user presses enter there, it won't do anything because it'll just update it to the same data it already was. So that should work just fine. And now that we've done that, let's take a look at the update stuff as well. So I'm going to go ahead and this is update bookmark. Should we update bookmark? Right? And now before we assume that that's working, let's go to app.js and let's clean up our update bookmark just to make sure it's good. So we say const response, boom, API bookmarks ID, make a put request, send the token, JSON.stringify, updated data, looks good. Const data is equal to await.response.json, bookmarks, bookmarks. Const index is bookmarks copy.find index, boom, boom. Bookmarks index is equal to bookmarks copy index. And the updated data, that should be fine. I do see one problem. The bookmark is not going to have a .id, it'll have a .underscore ID, right? So we need to make sure we verify that. This one is correct because this is coming from here, and this one is correct, that's coming from here also. But this one is part of the bookmark. The bookmark, the ID is underscore ID, so this would never work properly. So we caught that. That's why we read things over. Boom, boom. Update bookmark is good. I'm going to make a guess. If I did that on update bookmark, I probably did that on delete because I copy and paste. Yep, let's just fix that. So that should be fine on our first glance as long as the backend delivers the data correctly. So let's verify that that's working. And we'll just add the delete too before we use this. And we'll also do the bookmark list. The bookmark list is very simple. We're just going to loop over these bookmarks. So we're going to add another button here at the end. And that button is dead simple. We're just going to go ahead and just say, boom, there goes a button. And when the button gets clicked, and whenever the button gets clicked, we're going to go ahead and say that we call, let's say, delete bookmark. And let me verify the spelling on that. See, deleted bookmark. Don't want that. I want delete bookmark. Save that. And let's say delete bookmark. And then we're just going to pass in the bookmarks ID. So we'll say bookmark dot underscore ID. Right? So delete bookmark, boom, whenever that button gets clicked, and I'll just say that the text of the button is delete me. And we'll save that. Right? So the next thing that we have to do in order for this to work is we'll go ahead and we'll make our bookmark list. So we'll make a new component called bookmark list. And inside of there, we'll make a new file called the bookmark list.js. And this is simply just going to import bookmark, right? Export default. function bookmark list. And then in here, what we're going to do is we're going to return an array. We're going to take bookmarks dot map, and we'll say bookmarks dot length. If that's true, then we'll map over every single bookmark and we'll return a bookmark that has a bookmark. Updated bookmark. And delete bookmark. And since we're looping over, it's also going to need a key. And that key is going to be bookmark dot underscore ID. And then the else will be and that else is just going to be an H2 that says no bookmarks yet. Add one in the form above. And then save. And now we've got the bookmarks list, and then we got to make sure that we have all of the things we need. And we could basically see it. We don't need to go back. But just to give you the habit, the way that we're always going to figure that out, what we need is we always look here, and we're going to know we need the bookmarks, right? That's going to need. It's also going to need the individual bookmark, right? So that, like for example, that item, right? And then we know that the bookmark.js, we know that they need bookmark, update bookmark, delete bookmark. So that's what we need to make sure that we pass down. So inside bookmark list, we'll just put inside of its props list, it's going to need bookmarks. It's going to need updated bookmark and delete bookmark. That's the data that it would need to pass down here. And let's now go ahead and use that inside of app.js. And so we're going to import bookmark list. And then we're going to use bookmark list, right, instead of what we had here. So we're going to say bookmark list. And we're going to say bookmarks is equal to bookmarks. Delete bookmark is equal to delete bookmark. Update bookmark is equal to update bookmark. And then we'll make one change in bookmark list. We should just go ahead and make that a UL. And then we'll go ahead and save it. So now we have this set up the way that we want it to be set up. So now we could try to see if it works for us. And so I'm going to try to, let's go ahead and look at our React developer tools. We see app, we see auth, let's reload, right? And we see app, auth, create bookmark, bookmark list, and the key. So all that is working the way that we want it to work. And if we go ahead and let's say we try to update Facebook, and let's say Facebook Prime, which I don't think is a thing, and then it changes to Facebook Prime, right? Only thing that we forgot to do, you see it didn't close. I want it to close automatically. So let's go back to our code and let's go back to bookmark. We're not making it close automatically. So yeah, we say update bookmark, but we never go ahead and say set show input to false. We want that to happen every single time also, just because if I press enter, I just want the form to go away. I think that's something that users would expect to happen. So if I go ahead and change Facebook Prime back to Facebook, let me reload the page. I don't think it updated. And let's say Facebook Prime. Ooh, it's not changing. Let's see. Did I not save the file? No, I saved it. I say on key down, enter, boom, boom, show input. Right. This did not change back to none. Why is that? Let's see. Boom, boom. I'm not sure, but may not be as crazy as I think it is. It may just be that. Oh wait, nope. Throw in the error. Let's see what that error is. Show input. Oh, because I wrote show input, not set show input. That's why. Oh, I clicked the wrong button there. Because I wrote show input and not set show input. That's why. I just had a typo. And let's try again. Boom, Facebook. Change Facebook to Facebook Prime. Boom, that's working. Let's go ahead and make a LinkedIn. Let's say https://linkedin.com. Create the bookmark. And if I delete it, did it work? Yes, it does. Boom. Deleting is working. Update is working. Creating is working. Everything is working as expected. So no issues with any of the code that we have so far. And so we are done now with this reorganization. Let's go back over to our code. As you can see, we organize everything into components. And if we take a look at our beautiful app.js, it looks a whole lot cleaner, right? We have a lot of functionality in here, right? But that's to be expected because we got login, sign up, create bookmark, list bookmarks by user, delete bookmarks, update bookmarks. Got a couple use effects in here, right? So we got a nice little amount of stuff going on inside of our application. So with all of that said and done, we now have like the basic functionality inside of our application, some good structure inside of our application, and so now once your structure is down, then you're ready to style it. You don't want to start styling stuff and your structure is not good, but it looks like our structure is good, everything's good. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this video. I'm gonna post all the code, so you'll be able to reference it and look at the code later. And in our next video, we're going to go ahead and actually style this with SCSS and also with CSS modules. Right? Quick styling video, probably be about 30, 45 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next part of our MERN mastery setup that we're doing. So just so you know what's coming, next we're going to build like a simple e-commerce website, so you can see just a little bit more things happening with state, etc. And then once we complete that, then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of take a step back, and then we're going to do a run through of all of the key pieces of React and MongoDB Express node in order to build up to then build another larger project that's larger than the ones that we're building right now, but we're going to go over all the fundamentals. So we're going to start all the way from just some reviews on HTML and how different pieces work, some reviews on CSS and how different pieces work, etc. So for those that wanted to go a little bit deeper into those type of things or kind of review some stuff, that's what we're going to be doing there. So you're going to see us not necessarily build anything too crazy after we do the e-commerce site. We're actually just going to make a simple, a very, very simple application that we're kind of working on just to kind of get us used to HTML and CSS and JavaScript and like feel those things out just a little bit, just some little crash courses about how some things work. But the whole entire videos are going to be based on explaining how those things work, building up to when we take the next big leap, which we're going to build something a lot more substantial than just a simple e-commerce application. So with that said, looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed what we did today. And here's to keep building and be blessed to have success.